darn. This again, huh? The next day after school, I tilted my head to one side as I gazed at my phone in my hand. I've been hanging out with Misaki a lot lately, but one day her constant text messages suddenly stopped. Honestly, that felt like a relief for a guy like me who doesn't really text that much, but it's usually right around this time. I looked up at the clock in the empty classroom, seeing that it really was the usual time. Normally she would text me when she went to cram school or her lessons. Misaki would text me every little thing she did, so today's radio silence had me a little concerned. Just like that, my plans for today were decided. It's time to play detective. Oh yes, we get to go see what she's up to. I'm so excited. Oh, hi Miyu. Anyways, you guys, welcome back to ChronoClock. Hopefully you guys are seeing this relatively soon after the last episode, so I can say that, hey, I'm being consistent. You know, I'm trying. But very excited to continue on. We are going to be hopefully jumping into Misaki's route today, so I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited to get to know her even more than I have already. I feel like I've had a lot of opportunities lately to get to see different sides of her character, and I'm excited to see what her route does for her more than the main route has already done. So very exciting. Apparently we're getting to talk to Miyu right now. Let's see what that's about. Yo. Walking down the hall past the first year's classroom, I saw Miyu for the first time in quite a while. I know, I was so glad that we hadn't seen her. Is that bad? I don't hate Miyu, it's just... I'm waiting for us to get onto her route, and then I'll get to talk to her more, okay? For now, I'm just like, Miyu, don't care about you. You're like the last route, apparently, and I've heard it's kind of more of a side route. I thought it was going to be like the true end, but apparently it's just like a side route. Anyways. Genki desu ka? Yeah, I'm doing fine. It was inevitable that the conversation would turn awkward like this. Yeah, we've had a lot going on between us. It wasn't that she was uncomfortable with the situation, rather it seemed she was comfortable enough that she couldn't calm down.
ここにいるってことは1年生の教室にいようですか? みちるちゃんなら先に帰りましたけど。
No, I'm not looking for my sister. It's not her time for her route yet. Actually, I'm playing detective.
また行き当たりばったりなんですね。
Something like that. Miyu giggled as if remembering back when we pretended to be lovers. Why pretend? Anyways, it's not about Michiru. Have you seen Misaki?
みさきちゃんですか?
Yes, the love of my life. Miyu cocked her head to the side.
そういえば、今日はたまにみさきちゃんがいなくなる曜日かもですね。
Did you think it was weird too?
変ってことはないですけど、たまにありますね。
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of weird for her to do. I don't feel like she's the kind of person that would just dip out and not say much. I'm a little concerned, so I wanted to look in the classroom.
もう教室には誰も残ってないです。私はお掃除当番だったので、みんないなくなったのを確認してます。
You just don't want me to find her, do you? You want me to end up with you? Well, not happening until the end of the game. Evidently, Miyu didn't know where Misaki was either. If you're curious about it too, then why don't you search with me?
どうしよう。みさきちゃんを探すのも面白そうだけど。
Isn't she supposed to be cleaning? Why are we trying to take her away from that? It sounds kind of important. You have other plans?
そのスーパーの特売が。
Okay, Saitama. You know, you're just gonna run through the entire city to make sure you get to the supermarket sale, and then it ends before you get there. Best of luck then. Miyu smiled, politely gave me a little bow, and then left. Thank goodness. We can go look for her by ourselves. You can go get to your sale, Miyu. I know that's very important. I like sales too. My amateur detective gambit had hit a bit of a snag since I now exhausted my leads. This wasn't a matter that could be solved by turning back time either. As I was loafing around, I got a text. It was from Miyu. She was relaying the antidote to me that Misaki's shoes were still in her shoe locker, which means she must be somewhere around here. Is that really what they call it? So, I know in the Fast and Furious movies, if you guys have ever watched those, the third one was Tokyo Drift, and that one's my personal favorite, not because I'm a weeb and I love Japan. I've loved that ever since I was a kid, okay? And I remember one scene where the guy with, you know, the main character walks in, Sean, and he was told that he's not wearing his wabaki. Is that really what they wear in Japan? They wear the wabaki. It's like these special shoes. I'm not sure, but I would assume if she has her regular shoes in the locker, she has to be wearing something else, right? So it's probably the Wabaki. Socially awkward, chest anxious, grade skipping genius girl. That's... Is that what we're describing Misaki as now? I love it. I feel like the twin tail should be in there somewhere too. I feel like those are an important defining feature of her character. But I digress. Maybe next time I should leave her in a cottage in the mountains during a storm, somewhere in the middle of nowhere that the police would take forever to get to. What? What, are you trying to murder her? Reevaluating my plan to continue to look for Misaki. Yeah, let's think about that a little bit more before we start saying stupid stuff like that. Should leave no stone unturned like a proper detective. At very least, I knew Misaki was still in the building. As far as we know. Wonder if she's gonna be on the roof or something. Just to be sure, I went to the first floor and checked Misaki's shoe locker myself. Let's just take her shoes so she can't leave. Actually, I went right to the rooftop. Okay, this is the first place I would have looked for sure. Not here, though. Wasn't expecting anyone to be there anyways. Really, that was my first bet. Walked up and down the hallway searching each floor from end to end until... in this one otherwise unremarkable hallway, something didn't seem right. After school ended, they would turn off the air conditioning and open the windows so various types of noises could be heard throughout the building. I heard people talking in the classrooms, athletes shouting outside the field, and instruments being played in the music clubs. I suppose the sensitivity to sound I picked up on was osmosis by the way of Michiru, but something caught my attention. Placing trust in my instincts, I turned my ears more intensely, continuing to search for that something. What's going on here? It was an unexpected thing. Is this a violin? Rather an unexpected sound. Mixed in with the sound of the woodwinds being played, I could sense the faintest whisper of a lone violin. So she plays the violin, and can we take a second? Guys, her butt is practically hanging out. What's going on with that? We're going to cover that back up with the text. That's cool. I didn't know she played the violin, though. I like that. Happening across an empty, disused classroom, I discovered the individual playing that instrument was Misaki. I stilled my breathing and peeked at her through the door's window. The first thought to cross my mind was, she's beautiful. That's what I've been saying, Ray! Thank you! Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you agree with me. Misaki, the ever-boisterous girl, was staring hazily at the written score. Each draw of her bow across the violin strings extracted toneful notes and music from them. Whenever I think of, like, a visual novel with music and instruments, I think of White Album 2. I wonder if I should ever play that on my channel. I've heard that's a very, like, top-tier visual novel. The problem I have with playing that, though, is I've seen the anime, and I saw it a really long time ago. So I could probably play through the game again and still get a lot out of it, because I don't really hardly remember much, and also it'd be a lot different compared to the anime, I'm sure. I just remember, like, kind of the ending scenes, and just kind of what happened there, so I probably won't play it for that reason, but I do think about it sometimes. I do think about going through it. I probably don't remember enough that it would be like watching it or playing it for the first time. No wonder she wasn't answering my text. Her phone was turned off. Besides, she was so deep in focus, she probably wouldn't even been able to hear her phone going off anyways. So Misaki plays the violin. She's pretty good. I unthinkingly said out loud. With my family being who they are, my parents had taken me to concerts a few times as a kid, and I'd heard a fair bit of classical music that way. I was by no means an expert on the genre, but I could tell that while Misaki wasn't a professional violinist by any means, she wasn't an amateur either. Simply put, Misaki had just taken up the violin today, or hadn't taken up the violin today, let alone yesterday. It was obviously the day before, guys. Like, she's only been doing this, like, what, like 2 or 3 days? Not that good. So now what do? Misaki had never mentioned this before, and even her best friend Miyu didn't know about it, so she must be practicing in secret. And then... suddenly, Misaki's gaze locked onto me. Did she notice me? Her performance concluded. Misaki said nothing, but it was plain to see what she was thinking. Oh crap was written all over her face. I mean, I wonder, is there a reason she's hiding this from people? Is she just wanting to, like, build herself up and get really good before she, like, reveals her talent? Or is she just I don't know, maybe she doesn't think she's good enough. Like, I'm just trying to understand why you would want to hide something like that. I feel like this is like a very beautiful talent. It's something you would want to share with people. So let's continue on here. Maybe I'll get an answer. I waved hello at her, and she scrambled to put her violin and score away. As she was doing that, I opened the door to the room.
なんで先輩がこんなところにいるの？
I absolutely love that she says Buster all the time. Have I mentioned that? I'm pretty sure I have. It's so good. You weren't texting me like usual, so I came looking for you. As I spoke, I glanced around the classroom. It was definitely in a state of disuse. Still, hardly any sound leaked out of here. It must have been used before for people to practice or record music. In any case, the violin's quite an elegant hobby to have. I'm impressed.
だから何の話よ？
If you're that good, then you don't need to hide it.
隠してなんか。
I don't know, why are you so embarrassed about it? I mean, I'm the same way. Like, especially like when I'm recording and stuff, I'm very embarrassed about that. I can't have anybody else in the room. Like, I don't know, it's just weird, like, when I'm talking, and then, like, somebody is, like, just listening in on me real time. Can't do that. It's a little bit embarrassing. And I just don't generally like people watching me while I'm doing things anyways. Like, it's hard to, like, concentrate when you're, like, trying to appeal to somebody else. I don't know. Does anybody else feel that way? Wanted to hear more of it. Man, how beautiful that was.
綺麗？
That is how beautiful you were, Misaki. Whoa, Ray, okay. Are we hearing this, guys? He's flirting right now. I like it. Misaki froze up. I couldn't tell whether it was because I pushed her too hard or if she had given up hiding it. She then mumbled another question.
そう。
Hmm?
私のバイオリンの演奏は綺麗だった。
It was pretty good. I complimented her, but Misaki seemed to be slumped with disappointment.
まだってことね。
Interesting. Is she a little bit of a perfectionist, would you guys say? I wasn't flattering you or anything, you know?
同じうまかったって感想でも、演奏が本物なら顔つきが全然違うものなの。本物は誰が聴いても問答無用なのよ。
I mean, I suppose. I mean, I think it's okay if you're in high school and you're not like this grandmaster violin player, right? I don't think that anybody's going to expect that of you at this age. I think you are already really good. I mean, I would have trouble saying you're like the most beautiful violinist I've ever heard. But I think you're up there. You're great, right? I wouldn't expect any high schooler to be up there with the best of the best. Would you be trying to become a pro at this? She surprised me again when I asked her that question. She half-heartedly shrugged her shoulders.
プロになるかどうかは考えてないけど、誰にでも胸を張って自慢できるくらいにはなりたいわね。
I don't know, Misaki. I think you're that good, though. If your goal isn't to be a pro or isn't to be the absolute best, I think you're already there. I already think you have a talent that's worth showing off to people and being proud of. So, not really sure why she doesn't feel like she's good enough. I mean, what was she wanting us to say, I guess? I had to admire her dedication, but her face looked grim. Well, in all honesty, she probably wasn't good enough to be a professional. When it comes to an instrument like the violin, talent and experience make a big difference. And I feel like a part of being a professional is not even just... I don't know, I think a lot of it's time. I think a lot of it is just putting in that hard work and dedication for years and years, which she probably already has, right? Like, I'm not saying that she hasn't, but I think that's just something over time you're just recognized as being a professional because you put so much time and effort into it. Maybe you've done so many concerts and things. It's essentially like you're building up your resume. Once your resume looks so crammed full of stuff and you feel like you're so knowledgeable and it just comes so naturally to you, I think that's when I would consider someone professional at something. Do I think she's there yet? I don't know. I mean, it seems like she's still looking for recognition from other people, and I feel like a professional, like, kind of like what she's talking about, wouldn't need to do that. She would just be able to puff out her chest and be proud of her work, regardless of what anyone else thought. She would be at that level. So, I don't think that's a bad thing that she's not there. I just don't think she is there yet. There are children younger than Misaki who have already won championship level contests. So, until you can puff out your chest and be proud of yourself,
なんで
then...
止まったの？
I don't know, because I wouldn't consider someone who went and won a contest at 10 years old. I wouldn't consider them a professional. But maybe that's just me, because I would be like, well, a 10-year-old isn't really professional at anything. I think you're too young. But maybe that's just me being in the wrong. I'm not saying that you're not talented. I'm not saying I'd put you as a professional. I just think of a professional as being an adult, I guess. I wanted to make a joke about how her chest was puffed out already, but that was definitely too thick. Let's try that again. So until you can buff your chest down and be proud of yourself, then you'd keep playing the violin a secret, even from me and Michiru. Don't groan like that. I don't want you to hate me, so I won't breathe a word of this to anyone.
そうね。先輩は軽そうに見えて、ミオの時も区切りがつくまで内緒にしてたわね。
I just ended up feeling like the subject of a really bad joke instead.
自業自得じゃない。
I had to agree.
じゃあ約束。
Misaki extended her pinky finger with a serious look in her eyes. This is why I don't consider you a professional. No professional is keeping pinky promises, guys. That's something a child does.
だから約束しなさい。
Okay. I wrap my own pinky finger around
嘘つ
Misaki's.
いたらハリセンボン飲ますからね。
I'd rather not. Cross my heart.
切った。
There was no singing involved, but it was still felt like a childish way of making a promise. Thank you, Ray.
それにしてもどうしてハリセンボンなのかしら。飲ませるならフグとかの方が怖いと思うんだけど。
A finger probably wouldn't blind you, though.
辞書なんてどうでもいいから、ちゃんと秘密よ。二人だけの。
Right. A secret between us and no one else. Sounds pretty cool.
あと、
Ray,
たまには演
focus.
奏を聞きに来てもいいからね。
I'll listen to you play every now and then if you really want to. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would be down. I think this is a more different path than I expected for her. This is not something I expected her route to. Or, I don't know, we're not technically on her route right now. Yeah, we're still in choice 2. Given Misaki's way of talking, she's pretty much just implored me to come and listen to her play.
先輩は目の届くところに置いておかないと気になるし、誰かに注目されてる方が練習になるのよ。
Oh, really? So you like somebody watching you practice? Okay. At that instant, I found myself remembering something I had forgotten up until then. That reminds me, I think Michiru said something a lot like that, too.
みちるもバイオリンなんて演奏するの？
Back when she was still a kid, her parents taught her to play the piano and violin a bit. Even when she lost her sight, she could have kept on learning, but before I realized it, she just
この
stopped.
話、今まで一度も聞いたことないんだけど。
Her talent was unparalleled, but she completely lost her motivation. If I listened to her, then she would do her best, but if I wasn't around, she would get bored and stop
もし
practicing.
かしてすごい演奏だった？
Wasn't really interested in classical music back then, but if my memory serves me well, then I think she really was good, like you put it.
僕の天才バイオリニストのお嬢様。
Misaki dizzily shook her head.
ほんと沢渡って嫌になるわ。
Hey, don't be blaming me just because of my family name, okay? I have respect for people that can play like instruments and stuff. My cousin, he can play piano and he can just like listen to something and then just play it on the piano. And I'm like, that's crazy, my guy. What do you mean? Like how can you replicate that so perfectly? I don't know if that's just like talent or just I don't even know what you would call that. I feel like that's something you'd have to like practice, but he could just do it. Like, okay. Well, I doubt it had anything to do with that conversation. Later that night, Michiru came to my room in her pajamas.
本日も兄様と床を共にできる喜びに感謝いたします。
I'm gonna welcome you out the front door if you keep talking like that. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you. Tell her. She did smell pretty nice for being fresh out of the bath, but even if she kowtowed to me, if I said no, I meant no. Honestly, I'm surprised you didn't just come crawling in here without asking like usual.
それは事後承諾でよろしいということでしょうか？
No, I'm just surprised you didn't do it. Oh, for God's sake, stop distorting what I say with your wishful
本
thinking.
日はお話があってまいりましたので。
You're actually being serious. This is strange. Here we go again. Somehow I have a bad feeling about
そろ
this.
そろ私と兄様の関係をはっきりさせたいと思いまして。
You just said it right there. I am your dearest brother and nothing else. Clearly siblings.
では、美咲さんと仲良くされているのは
Ooh,
どこ
do
ま
we
で
get to
本
make the
気なのです
choice?
か？
The question was one of stark honesty. I'm not sure if I could call it
匂いが
friendliness.
するんですよ。
I'm exuding her fragrance, apparently. Okay. Michiru pointed that out right away. Her sense of smell, beyond the definition of mere intuition, was refined enough that she really could distinguish Misaki's scent on me. Ah, now what do I say? I'd been conscious to keep my accidentally overhearing Misaki's violin performance under wraps, but Michiru still figured out I'd spend time with her today as well. Very, very perceptive of you. It was obvious that she would have begun to suspect just how friendly I was towards
この際
Misaki.
私か美咲さんかはっきりさせてください。気がないのに優しくされると私も我慢できません。
Michiru was deadly serious in her interrogation. I knew why, because I'm a complete dumbass. I wouldn't say that. I think Ray's an upstanding guy. Maybe this is the right time. Putting aside whether or not I think of Michiru as a woman, if I made Michiru worry like this, I'm clearly in the wrong. I've been playing too nice with her up until now. Yeah, I definitely feel like their relationship they've gotten pretty close. Like they're at least good friends, and people at that point are going to start questioning whether there's something more than just friendship going on there. So I feel like this is the right time to kind of make the decision. Like, hey, are we interested in her? Are we not? What's the deal? Just as I've been clear with my former fiance, Dee Dee. Ray, why did you have to put it like that? My former fiance, Dee Dee. I had to be clear with Michiru, my one and only sister. Alright, guys. What do we pick here? What's the choice? I don't see Misaki as a romantic interest. No. Not true. Not true. We like Misaki. We're going for it.
わかりました。
Yeah, that's what I thought. Wait your turn, because I gotta go through DD and then I'll go to the Michiru route. I know y'all are so excited for the sister routes. You're like, oh, it's always so different. It's gonna be like Sora's, which I admit Sora's was pretty good. As much as I don't like the idea of a full sister route. As expected, Michiru didn't tease me about it, instead choosing a quietly bound response. Sorry. Nearly apologized to Michiru, but I felt cowardly to apologize for something like that, so I kept my mouth shut.
振られた記念に私の症状を
No. Do not finish that sentence. You're not really that shocked to hear that I like Misaki, are you?
ち
Dang, look at that sad face, guys. I feel a little bit bad. That's a sad face right there. That's a pouty face. The rich girl in front of me clicked her tongue in protest. I like how he calls his own sister a rich girl.
兄様のそういう気配はしばらく前から感じておりましたので、そもそも私は制裁になることはできませんし、美咲さんでしたら私もからかえ。
Wow, okay.
いいえ、
You have thought about this way too much. You were a bit too late, Michiru, in more ways than
恐
one.
縮です。
That was not a compliment.
えへ
Shut up. T? The new mannerism of hers was pretty
ところ
cute.
で兄様、私も美咲さんを籠絡するお手伝いをいたしましょうか。
Actually, if you would help me, that might be good. I feel like she might sabotage it too, though. I'm not really sure which way that would go. No thank you, I was planning to man up and tell her I feel myself, so cut me some slack
承
here.
知いたしました。はあ
Don't sound so depressed about it. Given the timing of that sigh of hers, I had to wonder what the meaning of it was. She just looked at me with a
大
knowing
人
grin.
になるって大変ですね。
Yeah, that's just life, okay? That's just how it is. Don't be sad. You'll get your time, you'll get your route. It's forbidden love. It just can't be until I finish hers and Dee Dee's first. Alright, guys, I think we're actually on her route this time. Yeah, exciting. Misaki won, a sudden confession. When I woke up the next morning, I felt like I hadn't gotten enough sleep. That is a very common occurrence for me. I can sleep for hours and hours and feel like I've gotten no sleep. Didi and Michiru had given me encouragement, so I decided to tell Misaki how I felt about her today. Hence, why I was feeling nervous. Even I can get nervous. I scratched my head and sat up in bed. I had a hunch that Misaki probably liked me too, but of course I couldn't help but imagine things turning sour. Well, best to get it over with. I was still in a daze, my hand reaching out for my smartphone reflexively, without thinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Did it without thinking. Checking a time and disabling the Do Not Disturb mode, I saw notifications of new texts having been received. 3 whole new messages. So, I'm getting them at this hour too. Wasn't surprised at this point, though. I got them every day like clockwork, and they were becoming part of my daily routine. If I did, it was only because I was thinking about you. Hair flip. I don't have any hair to flip. That was the first one. Now what's the second one say? And finally, number 3. Don't think you're special or anything, Buster. I'm lonely, so throw me a freaking line here. She's a pretty lively in the wee small hours. Given that content of those messages, I guess that Misaki usually woke up early in the morning. I like to wake up early in the morning, and I really should do that as much as humanly possible because I'm a way more productive human being in the morning. I mean, it takes me a while to get running, but I feel like the rest of the day I'm a lot more productive. Sorry, I'm getting notifications from Discord. We have this little group thing that like talks about the Wordles of the day, which I don't even know anybody who does the Wordle anymore besides my friends, but we always post and compare like how we did with the Wordle. Anyways, distractions aside, I really should get up more as early as possible. Like, I'd like to get up even around like 7 or 6 in the morning because I feel like I'm way more productive. I get way more done that day. But it's just hard. It's hard waking up. It was a pain to respond, but having a girl who texted me at that hour made me happy all the same. I swiftly typed out a response. Morning, Misaki, just woke up. I'd have replied right away if I weren't asleep, so don't get sad just because your favorite boy toy isn't around, okay? Whoa, boy toy? Hold up. Alright, I need to be on top of my game today. I had to keep myself together so I wouldn't do anything embarrassing in front of Misaki. I wanted to come off like the cool, reliable upperclassman. Aw, you're using your status as the older guy, huh? I like it. I like it. Really curious to see how this is gonna go. He's gonna confess to her today. I like it. I like it. School day passed uneventfully, and once it was over, it was time for me to make good on my decision from this morning. I was so nervous all day that I couldn't focus in class, but at least the teacher didn't call on me. My feelings compelled me to leave the classroom as soon as the last class let out. However, I didn't head towards the empty classroom where I figured Misaki would be. I decided to take a detour and walk around the hallways in order to calm my nerves. I'm older than Misaki, and she's a grade below me. We get along like Laurel and Hardy. I don't know that reference, I'm sorry. Is that a reference I should know, guys? Am I in the wrong for not knowing that? I just don't. The kind of relationship wasn't bad in itself, I still yearn for something deeper than that. Ah, my heart is pounding. My anxiety from this morning had returned to reach its apex. Oh jeez, I hope I don't stutter or anything on her. I found myself rubbing my cheek to try and calm down, but I found the butterflies in my stomach kind of enjoyable. I know, it's a nice feeling to be in love, guys. Well, the nice thing is he can always use his watch and break it if he says a bunch of embarrassing things. If it goes too wrong, he can have a redo over. But I would hope he doesn't use it too sparingly, which he's been pretty good about, I feel like. Taking a deep breath and opening the door, Misaki greeted me with her usual belligerent attitude. Despite her harsh words, her cheeks were red and the slightest hint of a smile played on her lips. If I'm intruding, I could leave. Oh yeah? You were nervous? Well, you're not the only one. could have guessed it. For someone with such a tsundere disposition, Misaki really does go overboard with the tsun.
とにかく
It's true.
すぐに練習するから静かにしてるのよ。
Yes, ma'am.
字が素直すぎてなんか気持ち悪いわね。先輩って意味もなくいたずらしそうだし。
I shook my head vigorously in denial. I definitely wouldn't get in her way since she practices so diligently. But if she wasn't diligently practicing, you bet your ass I would. Misaki quietly arranged everything on her music stand as she prepared to start practicing, stealing glances at me all the while.
なんか本当に黙ったままでいられるとちょっと寂しくないかしら。
What, do you want me to sing to your violin? Okay for me to talk?
そうね。先輩がどうしてもって言うなら準備してる時くらい私と楽しくおしゃべりしてもいいのよ。
Ah, yes, the privilege. I thought it'd be more interesting if I stayed
いつもみ
quiet.
たいに無駄に話しなさい。
Hey, I'm not the one always yakking on about some weird stuff, okay? I think that's a certain somebody who's pointing their finger at me right now. I think it's a certain you. Some dumb crap, eh? I decided to confess my feelings to her after her performance, but no other topic of conversation for the time being came to mind. Yeah, definitely don't do it before, because then there's no way she'll be practicing. That's something that kind of takes up your entire day. Is there anything to talk about? Oh, I know. Why exactly did you take up the violin?
どうして？
That's a good question. I mean, it'd be one thing if your parents made you take lessons, but I wouldn't have guessed that you enjoyed it enough to not tell anyone about it, let alone practice in secret.
そうね。好きよ。
Misaki quietly smiled, running her fingers along the case of her violin. Her smile immediately seized my heart in a way that no other smile had ever done before. Ah, I loved it, to coin a
も
phrase.
ちろん好きって以外にも理由はあるけど。
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like it's a refined thing to enjoy.
まあそうね。
Misaki stuck her tongue out and gave me a cheeky smile, but that smile quickly disappeared as she heaved a heavy sigh. What's the matter?
好きなのよ。バイオリンが。だからこれだけは譲れないってくらいには上手くなりたいの。
Well, I hate to tell you, that's a very big goal. Like I said yesterday, you're pretty skilled already.
一番になりたいのよ。私は一番星になりたいの。
Misaki suddenly raised her voice. Did she come down with something weird, or was she just getting worked up again? I feel like that pretty accurately describes Misaki's character. What do you mean, brighter than any
そ
other?
のままよ。私は星になるの。
A shooting
流
star.
れちゃダメでしょ。
Oh, yeah, sorry. You know, forgot about that. That's not something you can do. My bad. Maybe you could call yourself the Scarlet Shooting Star or something. You sound like a really cool action
バイオリン
hero.
持って我慢してどうするのよ。
I don't know. I just said it, okay? I apologize. I saw an action movie once where a guitarist fired rockets out of his guitar case. What's wrong with that? Sounds like that game from like years
いつ
ago.
の間にか我慢の方がメインになってる。
She's getting so flustered talking about this. Misaki stamped her foot in the usual way. Yeah, that's the stuff. Misaki had tears in the corner of her eyes as she pointed her finger at me.
そうじゃなくて、誰にでも誇れるものを手に入れたいのよ。私は。
Something you can be proud of, you say.
どうせ先輩には私の器用貧乏で万年2位とか3位、何事でもトップを取れない辛さがわからないんだわ。
Misaki leaned on her violin case as she complained. She made for an almost comical sight, but her eyes were very serious. Oh, I get it. Just like Miyu, Misaki is passionate about winning any sort of contest like that. Must be nice, I couldn't help but admire that aspect of her.
調子狂うわ。肩の力は抜けたけど。
I don't know. I feel like Misaki needs to stop worrying so much about what other people are doing and just focus on how much she loves playing the violin. Like, don't worry about whether you get second or third place. I think you'll get first place by really focusing on yourself, really developing your talent and your love for it. I mean, don't even worry about being the best. Just worry about being enough for yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the best. It doesn't mean you have to outshine everybody else. Everyone else can be good alongside you. And having finished her preparations, Misaki pulled out her violin and took a playing stance. She began to speak in tones. The atmosphere in the room became incredibly still, as if all that excitement a minute ago hadn't happened. I naturally directed my undivided attention towards Misaki's performance, the ambiance captivating me. I forgot about everything else, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world to quietly listen to only her violin. Soon I realized she was playing a piece I had heard before. It wasn't the same song I'd heard her practicing before, but it was a piece I'd heard before. The name of it escaped me, though. I'm completely green about classical music, but maybe she picked out a famous piece that she wanted to play just for me. Maybe I'm delusional for thinking that. Though I'd be flattered if she really did choose this piece for me. I accidentally voiced my thoughts out loud. After the words had left my mouth, I felt more self-conscious, because I was in love with her and wanted to tell her how I felt. Ooh, my guy, I like it. As I sat there, images of myself confessing to Misaki played out in my head. What if she liked me too and was just waiting for me to confess? Yeah, right. I was on the verge of chickening out, so maybe I was trying to console myself with wishful thinking.
先輩どうかしたの？
Misaki suddenly stopped playing and looked at me with a calm gaze. Did I do something weird? I felt guilty for making her stop her beautiful performance like that. Misaki cocked her head to the side as
そう
well.
じゃないけど最初は聞き入ってくれてたのになんだか落ち着かない感じがしたから。
Wow, okay. Misaki is very perceptive.
演奏してると聞いてる人の感情が結構わかるのよね。やっぱりまだまだ特訓が必要ね。
I teased her a little bit before she started, but I tried not to bother her during her performance. I was surprised when she put her arms down and stopped playing.
暇？
Bored, it's not like I have anything else to do.
そうじゃなくて私の演奏じっと聞いてるだけでしょ。
Ray, you need to be careful with your words here. Like, don't phrase it that way. Don't say you're bored. Don't say you're just here because you have nothing else going on. Be here for a purpose.
だから無理して聞いてて退屈になったり飽きたりしてないかなって。
There's no confidence in her voice. One might say she sounded very uncertain about something. I scratched my cheek. Well, I can't deny that I've never been all that interested in classical music. But I like your playing, or rather, I like it because you're the one playing it, so I wasn't bored. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I showed her a big smile as the color rapidly rushed to her face. Then,
そうよね。私の演奏もなかなかのものでしょ。
I wonder if he's gonna try to confess and she's gonna, like, not really get that. He's like, oh yeah, I like your music because I like you. He's gonna have to really, like, hone that in. But I don't know, is that a good reason to like someone's music? Like, if you have no interest in it, and you just listen to it because you like them? I mean, that's gonna not really be, like, super supportive, right? You're not gonna really, like, take your word when you say you like it. They're like, oh, he just likes it because he likes me. She's back to her usual cheerful self. Let's see. Alright. That seems to be Misaki's flaw. She was so easily discouraged when things didn't go her way, and then able to regain her fighting spirit with just a few kind words.
よかった。じゃあ先輩、もうちょっと練習に付き合ってね。
With a serious expression, Misaki held up her violin once again, but she didn't start playing again right
そ
away.
れにしても先輩って変な人ね。
Hey, you know? Thanks. What was that? Hey, what was that called for?
私
What was that called
沢
for?
渡の御曹司だからって先輩に変に絡んじゃうのに今だってわざわざ練習を覗きに来てくれてるでしょ。物好きにも程があるわよ。
That can't just be idle curiosity. Not because I'm curious about your playing, I came because I wanted to see you.
さすがに2度目は驚かないわよ。もう騙されないから。
He's blushing like crazy. Whatever you say. I'd intended to be pretty straightforward with her today, but since I was always teasing her, she didn't believe me. Which meant now was the time. I wanted Misaki to know how I felt. I realized that my hand was unconsciously reaching for the pocket watch even before I began to speak. After all, just in case something went awry, I could undo it. I restrained my own impulses and took a deep breath. Misaki, is it alright if I tell you something serious? I like you, Misaki. Please go out with me. She's just like, what? Was I? It was quite a long delay before Misaki first reacted. Please don't make me say it again. I was so embarrassed I felt like I was losing my mind. My cheeks were burning up. There's no way I wasn't blushing at that moment. Yeah, I feel like this could have been a little bit more romantic there, Ray. You know, that was just kind of like, hey, I like you, go out with me. Just kind of threw that out there. Despite the rapid stream of words coming out of her mouth, she took the time to carefully put her violin away. She was still so terribly flustered as she came over to me, pointing her finger right at my face. That I could say it a little bit more slowly. Oh, sorry about that. She stomped her feet as usual, but with the way her skirt was flaring up, if she didn't stop, she might just give me an inopportune sight. Is that a no? So that means, could it really be? Misaki shoved a 5-finger salute into my face, putting a damper on my rising hopes. Hold up. Guys, don't do this to me. I share your feelings, Ray, but what is this but? What does that mean? I don't like that. I don't like it. Ah, no! Throw the watch right now. Throw the watch right now. I would rather not confess to her than her tell us no. All the blood rushed to my head from embarrassment. I seriously felt like I was about to faint. Oh, hold up. Ask her real quick what it was, why she's saying no, and then just chuck the watch. Just break that thing. I'll break it in 100 pieces. Misaki was clearly flustered and I wasn't thinking straight either. This is bad. My head's such a mess right now. Just tell me, woman, why can you not date him? I'm dying to know. Oh, okay. Why did you just say that? Oh, okay. My head was about to boil over when it was suddenly quenched by a word I hadn't expected to hear. Misaki looked like she just remembered something important, too. The tense atmosphere finally abated. I didn't know. So the quote-unquote gymnasium they spent a fortune renovating was actually that. I wasn't big on live music, and something like that would probably be held on a weekend, so I really didn't hear a word of it before. Oh, okay. Alright, guys. We're gonna keep the pocket watch intact. I think that's a valid reason. It's a very valid reason. If she couldn't go out with me right now, she literally did mean right now. With this newfound knowledge of the predicament Misaki was in, I realized how poor my timing had been. Sorry, I guess I picked a weird time to confess my feelings to you. Oh, crap, Misaki is way too cute when she blushes. Of course, it wasn't the first time I'd ever seen her like this before, yet somehow her cuteness was on an entirely different level now. Of course, it's not annoying at all. I'll be eagerly awaiting your answer. Oh, good luck in the contest. This is interesting, because I was wondering, how are they going to do a confession so early on? Usually confessions are, like, towards the end. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see how they're going to do this now. They're going to really delay the big confession. This was, like, kind of like a... This was like this was like an appetizer. We have the entree still coming out, okay? Misaki put her hand to her chest and nodded. I didn't receive a clear answer to my confession. She didn't reciprocate my feelings when I told her that I liked her. She merely accepted them. That alone was enough to make me happy. This confession was completely different from all the times when I practiced confessing to girls. Then undid it with the pocket watch. Thank you, Misaki. I don't know exactly why, but I still wanted to thank you. I like how she said we aren't going out yet. Yep. You are too. Misaki jumped up in surprise, and then she turned her back on me to regain her composure. Even that mannerism slayed me. Yeah, I've totally fallen for I'm beyond all hope, though that phrase sounds a little too pessimistic. Anyways, I don't want to get in the way of your practice. I'll be going. Okay. She yanked on the sleeve of my jacket with surprising force, shoving me back down into my seat. Ah, has to be Ray, huh? Alright. I smiled and pulled Misaki's fingers off of my jacket, being careful not to hurt her as I did so. Misaki sounded really sad when I forced her to release her grip on my jacket. I pointed at her violin case in order to reassure her. In that case, you better get started practicing. So as much as I would absolutely hate if something like that happened in real life, like where you had to like delay your confession and things like that, that would just be frustrating because you'd have to hold on to these feelings that you have. And I don't know, it would just be hard not being able to like express your feelings after you've already like, I guess, came out to them that you like them. It would be hard to hold back those feelings. It would be maybe a little bit frustrating because now that you kind of got that in the air, there's probably a little bit of awkwardness because it's not like she said no, but she hasn't said yes yet. You would be just in this weird in between, and you wouldn't want to do too much to show your affection because you don't want to distract them. It would just be a really difficult situation. I think if something like that were to happen, I'd probably have broke the pocket watch and just waited to confess until maybe afterwards. I don't know. And I'm saying that in a real life scenario. I think this is fine. I think the way this is going is fine. I'm just saying for me personally, I probably would have done things differently. Misaki flashed a gleeful sunflowery smile and then took her violin back into her hands. Alright, we'll watch you, Misaki. And now I finally understand why she has the music note in her hair. I didn't quite know, but I probably should have put two and two together. Like, oh, she likes music, and I wouldn't have been able to guess what kind of instrument or whatever she would be playing. She started playing. The end result was surprising. Misaki's performance was actually quite terrible. Really? She definitely had the motivation, but she was constantly looking at me out of the corner of her eye while she was playing, and her concentration was shot. Her overall playing was pretty off-key, and she missed a lot of notes. Yeah, I feel like us confessing just kind of like threw a rock in her whole plan. All those mistakes just put more pressure on her, and in the end she wasn't able to regain her composure until evening. It was supposed to be a day for us to celebrate, but on the way home, Misaki was full of despair. I could see why. I didn't have any words of encouragement for her. The second half of her performance wasn't something I could compliment even if I tried. Wow, okay. Or rather, if I tried to compliment her, it would just sound sarcastic. I was at an impasse. Our relationship had progressed to something where us actually going out was a very distinct possibility, but somehow it didn't feel very satisfying. Misaki had held her head in her hands. If she likes me too, then I wish we could do something romantic like walking home together while holding hands. Yeah, it's just this really a whole awkward situation now. It's kind of difficult to deal with. I recalled how Miyu said something like that to me once, but in this situation I hesitated to hold even her hand. And Misaki stopped walking.
じゃあ先輩、今日はこの辺りで別れましょう。
Weren't we gonna walk to the monorail station together?
私はちょっと歩いて頭を冷やして帰るわ。
Then I'll come with.
いいの。
Yeah, my guy. She's telling you she wants to think about things, think about what happened today. She wants to cool off. Let her go by herself. Her voice was very calm, but her words were forceful enough that I couldn't say anything else.
一人になりたいから。
Of course, I couldn't force her.
今日は付き合わせて悪か。そういう付き合いじゃないからね。まだよ。
Hey, no need to be pendant. Pedantic? I don't know. It's not a big deal.
私に告白したのは先輩じゃない。
So it was, whatever. I was happy to see that she was acting like her usual self again, so I didn't crack a joke at her expense this
じゃ
time.
あ先輩、今日は私のせいで帰りが遅くなっちゃったから、家に着いたらメールしなさいよ。先輩に何かあったら心配じゃなくて、みちるにも悪いし。
I should be worried about you. You're the one that's gonna go on a walk, by yourself in the evening. I ought to be worried about you getting home safe on your own too. You're a girl after
だ
all.
から私が無事かどうかちゃんと確認しなさいよ。
Alright.
とにかくちゃんとメールするのよ。一通だけ送っておしまいとかもダメよ。
That'd be something I would do. I don't mind talking more after that, but
先
why?
輩が告白したんだから、今まで以上に私のことを大事にしなくちゃダメなの。
So that's what she meant. We weren't dating just yet, but she still wanted to talk with me to deepen our relationship. Of course, gladly.
喜ぶの？そんなこと言ったらいっぱいメール送るわよ。
I don't know. I'm kind of glad that they're doing this in a way too, because they get to know each other more. I feel like we've gotten to know Misaki quite a bit. We've already kind of been in the developing stages of building something up, and it's like they both like each other, but they're like, hey, let's get to know each other even more while we are not dating, because I'm focusing on this. I don't know. This is a good situation. I mean, I do like it. Like I said, I probably would have done things differently had I had a pocket watch that could rewind time. But I'm kind of glad almost that he didn't. I'm like that he's just letting things play out and using the pocket watch sparingly, which he's pretty good at doing. I'm always glad to get messages from you. Why wouldn't I want to talk to the girl that I like?
そうなんだ。それなら、私も。
Misaki's face turned red, and it certainly wasn't just from the evening sunlight. I mean, today was the sort of day where that would happen a lot. For now, things were just fine. The day had its ups and downs, but I was starting to feel comfortable with Misaki again by the end of it. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Then night came. Just like I promised, I texted with Misaki for a while, but we didn't talk about anything in particular. Even after I ate dinner and took my bath, we kept texting. Talking late into the night didn't bother me since I was talking to Misaki.
今日の兄様は随分と幸せそうですね。
You could say that. Michiro was relaxing in my room, as if doing so was as natural as breathing to her. Yeah, I guess
帰
so.
宅時間がいつもより遅かったようですし、それに帰宅してからずっとメールをしていますよね。
Yeah, it's Misaki. I admitted it right away since I didn't have to worry about Michiro reading the embarrassing text messages on my phone. That being said, Misaki and I weren't actually talking about anything substantial, it was just more of our usual
で
banter.
は兄様、今夜は一緒に寝ましょうか。
No? Well then, what's that
兄
supposed to
様の
mean?
機嫌が良さそうなので、私のお願いも叶えてくださるかと思いまして。
Yeah, no, this is something I'm just gonna share with Misaki and I. Hey.
ではお布団に忍び込むのは我慢いたしますが、兄様、美咲さんに告白された結果どうなったのですか？
Should have guessed you'd want to talk about that. I sighed and then raised my voice so that the person I could sense was eavesdropping from the hallway could hear it too. And I bet you want to talk about that as well, right, Dee Dee? Oh, bugger. Her voice on the other side of the door was a perfect giveaway. At least she wasn't hiding in the ceiling or something.
はい、まさか私の忍術が通用しないとは思わなかったでござる。
When did you start learning ninjutsu? Didi entered the room quietly while demonstrating the ever-present inverted ratio between the size of her mouth and the size of her brain. What? I feel like that was very insulting to Didi.
お話を聞かせていただきましょう。
Michiru sat down on the floor taking this... I never know how to pronounce that, guys. The... Seiza? Seiza? Is it Seiza? Because I know, like, the E's make like a eh sound, and then I's are an E sound. So it would be Seiza. Seiza. Position. I did the same as well. Didi followed suit, and her Seiza posture was surprisingly good, better than mine even. I just feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong. I mean, I feel like I'm using logic to say that right, but I feel like it still sounds wrong. I just can't win. Well, there's not a whole lot to say anyways. I confessed to Misaki today.
そうですか。
Michiru perked up for a moment when I said that. She didn't give any other noticeable reaction except for sighing heavily.
実行されるとまだ引っかかりますね。なんだかご主人様がお婿様に行くみたいですね。それはありえませんよ。美咲さんが沢渡のお嫁さんになるのです。どちらにしてもハッピーなことですよ。
You're a she to me.
明日
Sound
は
pretty
盛大に
happy.
パーティーをいたしましょう。ごちそうがたくさんです。
No, our relationship hasn't gotten that far yet.
焦りすぎちゃいました。ミステイクでした。でもごちそうは食べたいです。
Chigaimasu. That was a mistake, apparently. I'm still eager for that glorious food, though.
焦りすぎということはないと思いますよ。何せ沢渡と安藤の子供が付き合うことになったのですから。まずはお付き合いの祝言だけでも十分ではありませんか。それもそうですね。後々のためにお祝いの練習をいたしましょう。ごちそうが食べられれば私も嬉しいです。
And then there's Didi over here just thinking about food. You know, maybe Didi, maybe I'll end up liking you more than I thought, because I'm a man who likes to eat too. Isn't Didi just excited for the food and nothing else? But never mind that. That's not it either. I told Misaki how I feel better, but we're not dating.
はい。そうですか。告
ごめんな
白した
さい。
けどソーリーでしたか。
So Gomen would be sorry, Gomen asai would be like a really deep apology.
ご主人様、美味しいものを食べましょう。私の分もちょっとならあげますから元気を出しましょうね。
Didi was worried enough about me to share food with me. But the real problem arose from the other girl.
ありえません。何様のつもりですか？あの小娘は。
Michiru is over here pissed off, like, okay, you turned me down for this girl, and then she turned you down? Who does she think she is?
贅沢者です。兄様の告白を拒絶したのですか？私ならその場で押し倒しますよ。即座に既成事実まで持っていきますとも。
I love the music for this. The music is so fitting, just like, bruh, why would you say that?
お嬢様がご乱心でございます。
I don't even know what Didi just said. I really don't. It's literally translated for me and I still don't understand what she just said.
リリーさん、車の用意を。すぐに美咲さんの家へ向かいますよ。
Oh, no?
Yes, ma'am! かしこまりました。
Like hell you will. Both of you will cool it for a
落ち
minute.
着けません。
Just shut up and listen to me, okay, guys? We need to talk this over real quick. Oh, frick. I bonked Michiru on the head and she let out an amusing squeal. It's true she didn't agree to go out with me, but I'm not saying she turned me down either. What? Misaki has her own reasons for not being able to give me an answer right now. So like I said, we aren't dating, but she didn't reject me, okay? Once the truth finally came out, both of them had no further cause for complaint. Then I thought about what to say next. I wanted to explain the situation, but telling them about Misaki's secret at violin practice didn't sit well with me. I couldn't tell them everything, but I still had to give them a convincing reason. Right now, Misaki has something very important she has to do. She needs at least a month to focus on that, so that's why she couldn't give me an answer just
それは
yet.
兄様と付き合うことよりも大切な用事なのですか？
Michiru, I'm not even gonna bother answering your question. We're just gonna move on. It's something very important to her. I just want to respect her decision. Given how determined Misaki was to fulfill her dreams, I found myself falling for her even more. And I wanted to throw my full support behind her while she gave it her
で
all.
したら仕方ありませんね。
What do you mean we have no other options? This has nothing to do with you. You're lucky I'm even telling you.
お祝いは日を改めてですね。
We'll do that when the time comes. Still, it's not like I'm guaranteed a positive
お
answer
兄
from
様
her.
は悪い返事をされるとは思っていないようですが、
Oh yeah, no. Michiru really can read me
こ
too
こ
well.
まで思われるなんて、美咲さんが羨ましいですね。
You're important to me too, Michiru, just as my sister, though.
今はそれで我慢しておきましょうか。しかし、美咲さんの用事というのが気になりますね。
Michiru seemed to be satisfied with my response, but I somehow had the feeling that she'd soon get around to grilling Misaki at the first chance she got. I was hopeful that I hadn't betrayed Misaki or Michiru's trust, but I couldn't be certain of it. Yeah, you guys will be fine, don't worry about it. ChronoClock. What's going on in the house of Sawatari? One of those rare mornings where I woke up early. Ooh, those are my favorite mornings. I like those mornings where you wake up naturally without even trying, and it's really early, and then you feel like energetic, and you're just like, yes, I can get stuff done. I can be a human being that's actually has motivation and, you know, isn't lazy like I usually am. Anyways, guys, I think we're gonna call it here. It's once again, I seem to be ending these videos at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Have you noticed the past 2 ones have been around that, and it's about that right now? Not intentional, I promise. I just usually end it about when I get through a chapter, or, you know, I get through at least what I feel like is a good amount of content. Anyways, though, we're gonna end it here. Great start to Misaki's route. Very interesting turn. So she plays the violin, and she really wants to be able to focus on that before she gets into a relationship. I mean, I think that's fair, right? I wouldn't put down anybody for wanting to do that, just so they can stay focused and they're not worried too much about love and worrying about not being able to give the person that loves them enough time. I think that's just a good idea. Anyways, though, we're going to see how that turns out next episode. Hopefully we'll be able to get through a lot more of it and see kind of some of the fruits of our labors. I'm sure we're going to continue to get closer to her. I think that'll be great, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyways, guys, appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a good one.